Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for Poker Face Season 2, Episode 3. Is this the biggest episode of the show that we've had a chance to see so far?
Yeah, I mean, as far as them wrapping up the main story, I didn't expect this at all. I thought we were going to get maybe some progression in the story with Beatrix, but I did not expect that we were going to have one episode. It's all wrapped up. Charlie is a free woman to go wherever she wants and pointing at the map and just going.
It felt like a season finale in
Yeah.
Episode 3. I guess they might have known in advance that these first 3 episodes were going to come out all at once, because you can make an easy argument that's like, all right, this is the end of this era of a show, and now you have to wait a week to see whatever else is coming up. Like, I enjoy the risk taking of it. Like, I appreciate the idea of, all right, we don't want to just rest on our laurels. And I do worry, if they had made the entire season at the end of every single episode, Charlie is like running away from mass gunfire at it might have gotten a little bit hokey if they had kept that going forever.
Yeah, it already was happening during season 1. It was happening for the beginning of season 2. There was only so far they could go with this. So it was nice to have it wrapped up where we see at the end Charlie choosing to continue to kind of just go on her journey, go on the road. What is next for her? The world is open, but now it's not her running in fear, it's her having a choice.
Yeah, and this episode, obviously, it's very important plot-wise. We'll get so much more into that. But just from a guest star perspective, I will say this is my favorite episode of Poker Face when it comes to guest stars. I'm not saying it's my favorite story, but we obviously have Rhea Perlman. We've talked a little bit about her before, but John Mulaney, who I love for a number of reasons we will get into here, he's a big part of the story. Richard Kind, who I know we both love and has been a part of our TV viewing lives for so many years. Like,
Yeah.
even someone like Chris Bauer, who was on True Blood and who was on Heels, he is the expert of playing an angry, often authority figure, and he's got that southern drawl. Just the moment you see him, it's the ultimate, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen moment.
Yeah.
I love the guest cast here so much.
Yeah, this is a really solid guest cast. I mean, Poker Face is always known for bringing in really great guest stars,
Yeah.
but I mean, for me, it was really exciting to see Richard Kind. We really love him. He was
Yeah.
great on the last season of Only Murders in the Building. He's just such a fun person to watch.
All right, we're going to get so much more into all of this, where the show could be going from here. But before we go forward, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we will have so much more coverage of Poker Face coming up here on the channel throughout season 2. And beyond just that, we're also in the midst of The Handmaid's Tale season 6, The Last of Us season 2. We're wrapping up Survivor 48 pretty soon, and coming up, we have a lot of other great shows, including Dexter Resurrection, and also eventually Alien Earth, once there's some sort of actual premiere date announced.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping for July, but hopefully they'll just tell us soon instead of dropping all these teasers and just making us excited without any real end date here. But also follow us over on our Patreon. Over there, we are covering Criminal Minds Season 3 Evolution, and we are also going to be covering Murder Bot, which is coming up on Apple TV Plus, and is the only place that you can get those reviews. And it really helps Matt and I here at the channel to be able to continue to do this and bring you guys videos.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have my 2-minute John Mulaney corner here for a moment, because I know a lot of people who love him for his stand-up specials. I know he's got a ton of them. Let us know what's your favorite one in the comments, because here's the thing. I haven't really watched any of his stand-up specials. I am the rarest breed of John Mulaney fan. I love him for, number 1, helping to write the Stefan sketches on SNL with Bill Hader. Number 2, hosting SNL, because I'm a huge SNL junkie. Number 3, all of the musical numbers he has done on SNL, including, there's this big one on the 50th anniversary special that I've watched just 800 different times. I just think he's very clever. I think it was really funny that both he and Richard Kind are in this episode together, because if you guys have watched Everyone's in LA or Everyone's Live, which is the new talk show that Mulaney has on Netflix, Richard Kind is his sidekick on that. And so it's just bringing them together. It's ironic given how much I've seen him. I haven't actually seen him that much in a scripted role. So I was very excited to see him here. I don't know why he had to have the "you must drink the milk at all times" treatment, which has been a major theme here at the channel over the past year.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was. I don't watch much SNL and I'm not really sort of into the comedy scene. So this is my first time seeing him and he was great. He was a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, the whole milk drinking thing, we just saw it, we've seen it on The Boys. We just saw it on Mayfair, which is like, this joke is done, guys. Like, just stop.
Yeah, like I know they tried to find a way to write it into the story here somehow.
Oh
It's
my
just
goodness.
like there are so many other ways you can make a character played by John Mulaney who looks like an adult version of a weed that sprouted arms and legs and is just walking around here. And I think he would own up to that. I just think there are so many more things you could do with this guy other than just wander around and have him drink milk.
Okay, so let's get into the story
Yeah.
of it all here. We have Beatrix, and then Richard Kind is playing her husband, Jeffrey. So Beatrix has got Charlie is like, okay, here's the plan. I've got a mole, maybe a rat, I don't know,
Yeah.
going on in my organization, and my whole organization is crumbling, and it's all your fault. So you're gonna help me find out who of my organization that I even have left at this safe house, who is the person who's the mole, because I need your special talent to let me know so I can take care of them and then I can just get on the plane and get out of here. Charlie's like, well, I don't have any choice, so let's go. So they end up getting to this second safe house because the first safe house is compromised. She doesn't know why. That's fine. Meets up with John Mulaney, Danny, and turns out that he is an FBI agent who is working for Beatrix. He's a dirty FBI agent. So while she has a mole inside the FBI, she is concerned that she also has a mole within her organizations. That's why this episode is called Whack-A-Mole. There's moles all over the place. So she brings Charlie back. She just goes and does her thing, but she's very straight up about it. You working for the feds? No. Truth teller. But when she gets to Jeffrey and she's like, are you working for the feds? He's like, no. She knows that it's BS, but decides to hide it.
The cleverness of this episode was outstanding. Like, this is one of the reasons I love it so much. I love the premise of it. I love how they sort of found a way to incorporate Beatrix into the story that justified what we saw at the end of this past episode. But yeah, I also love Charlie's decision making throughout this because it's a change for her character. It's not just doing the same thing here again and again.
Yeah, the minute that she decided to cover up that lie, I was like, oh, it's a really interesting choice because she never does. She's always just like, BS, 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 right? And the minute that he lied and she was like, truth, I was like, is that because he doesn't actually work for the feds and she couldn't read it? But later to sort of learn that she's like, yeah, you know what? I knew he was lying, but I felt like it's because he's trying to help get this organization taken down. That's not somebody that I want to put out there on blast.
Yeah, we're seeing more of her moral compass here, where it's like, okay, you might be lying, but you might be lying for a good reason. And, because
You're trying to take down this organization.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, because of that, I'm going to do my best to help you. And I would also do my best to help Richard Kind in life. I will say that. I mean, he just looks like a dude you want to go and have a cup of coffee with and then have a hug and then just like wander around the park with. He's just like the ultimate park friend. And I was so happy to see him. But I will also say, the first 10 minutes of this episode tricked me like beyond all measure of imagination. There was a certain point in this episode, and Jess can attest to this, where I texted her and I was like, oh my God, they killed Richard Kind and Wolowitz from the Big Bang Theory. They're both dead.
No, I was shocked too when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God, it's like the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
They get to this plane. The FBI are all there. We've got, Jeffrey getting shot by Luca. We got Luca getting shot by Beatrix. I'm like, oh my God, they're going for it in episode 3 where all these main players are all going to be dead. We see Beatrix get on the plane and seemingly shoot Charlie as well. I was like, I can't even believe what they're doing here. This is just crazy.
It was the best intro to me of any episode they've ever done. And I wish that the latter part of the episode was maybe a little bit longer. Like, that's the one critique I have with it. It felt like at times this was a little bit rushed, but it just felt like it was one of the real intros where I had no idea how they were going to wrap everything up. And yeah, in the end, it's still not the best news ever here for Jeffrey. But at the same time, the way that they sort of played it out, it made me question things. And then when we get into the whole who is the mole aspect of it, you know, we've talked about how much you love revenge stories. I love mole stories, and I say this as a fan of the Netflix reality show The Mole, which I feel like now holds the record for being canceled more than any other show in history. It feels like it's been canceled like 5 times. I'm not sure Netflix is even bringing it back
Oh
at this
no.
point. And it's just like, why is this happening to us again?
I know.
But I just really thought that a lot of the ideas that they're kind of working with here were just really effective. It's them once again trying to not do the same thing every single time.
Yeah, it was exciting to sort of have the, is Jeffrey dead? Is Jeffrey not dead? Is Jeffrey dead? Is Jeffrey not dead? As
Yep.
he was running, because we saw that whole plan with Jeffrey and Luca in the car where they're like, yeah, I'll give you, you know, this information, but I want to be put, you know, in a safe house sort of thing. Okay, well, we'll fake your death. No problem. So I'm like, okay, so they didn't actually kill him, but then they did actually kill him. Like, well, how did that happen then? We saw him putting in the blanks, you know, how is this a thing? And then in comes Danny, who's like slipping a reel round underneath a blank. I was like, oh wow, the reveals in this episode just kept hitting and hitting.
It also just had the funniest moment of the whole season to me, which was Richard kind of running. The way in which he was trying to get away from this, it was so funny. And
With his luggage.
I just can't imagine him reading that script. I've seen interviews with Richard before, and he basically says that he takes around 90 to 93% of all the jobs that he's offered just because he loves working. And he just like, what else am I going to do on a Tuesday? Go and play golf. But I feel like this was one of those instances where he really read the script and had a thrill, because how many people in 2025 are like, okay, Richard Kind, we want you to sprint across this area while trying to carry this luggage.
Yelling, no, 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 no.
It's just such a panic for a guy who is romantically intertwined with a crime boss, where it's just like, you should be used to danger, Richard Kind.
That was also a really great moment for him when Charlie comes in and he's pretending that he doesn't know what his wife does. He's like, no, of course I know what my wife does.
Yeah, it's just, there's such a cuteness to the way Richard Kind always plays these kind of roles. And I think just having the depth that we have for some of these characters in this short of amount of time, like, that's what makes all this really, really interesting. Like, if there's any sort of quibble that I would have with, you know, the greater reveal at the end, and it's not even that surprising a reveal, it's that we didn't necessarily have all the pieces together in the first 10 minutes. And I think for a lot of Poker Face episodes, we kind of do. Like, we sort of know, okay, this is the killer. It's all about how we're going to see Charlie connect the dots from A to B. Because Mulaney was really one of the only big name guest stars kind of outside of the people directly involved in this, it was pretty easy to be like, okay, it's Mulaney. We just have to figure out how we're going to get to him.
Absolutely. But the big, like, confrontation at the end on the plane with everyone, it played out really well. It was cool that they had the ironing board, so Jeffrey was still kind of part of it, even though he was now dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing Beatrix even sitting there with Charlie, having their conversations and kind of bonding in a lot of ways, even though, of course, Charlie is still trying to fight for her life. It was really well. Rhea Perlman is just an icon. She's so funny, and she's
Yeah.
so funny in this episode. When I heard she was one of the guest stars, she was easily the person I was the most excited for. She is just one of the funniest people on the planet, and she did not disappoint in this.
No, I feel like Natasha had to be thrilled to have scenes with her and to kind of do this back and forth. And I think that's one of the things I'm going to miss the most if this is the end of Beatrix as a character, is just that any crime show or any whodunit show, it's always good to sort of have not a final boss per se, but just somebody who's sort of waiting at the very end that you can look forward to and think, okay, there's a showdown that's going to happen here. And I don't want to just constantly make a Moriarty comparison, but I just think Poker Face moving forward, yeah, it's good that we're going to have more standalone cases and all of that, but I kind of do still want something hovering out there so that when we get to the finale, it feels like the stakes are a little bit higher.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get something. I mean, Beatrix is still out there. She is, in a safe house. So will we see her again? Maybe, probably not, right?
Mhm.
Then we have Danny, who's been arrested, who was trying to offer 16,000, 25,000. How about 160,000? That was one of the best scenes as well. He is still out there. Obviously, he's going to be in jail or whatever's going on. But
Yeah,
it feels like tinfoil hat
yeah.
that one of these new places or cases that she ends up getting involved in will be the thing that will produce the next Moriarty that will be kind of either not chasing after her, but maybe something else.
Yeah, I think that the show needs something like that just to kind of give you that extra carrot. Because, yeah, this is a show where, for the most part, you can watch these episodes in any order and be really entertained. But I think there's something to be said for rewarding people who watch week to week and rewarding people who do watch in order. So it is like, okay, this is something very specific you can look forward to. Like, I think the real problem, ironically, with the Moriarty on this show is just that their guest stars are so big that it could be kind of, it would be really, really tough to, for example, go to somebody like Giancarlo Esposito, who has all a million things happening, and be like, okay, we need you to commit to this many episodes, or Mulaney, who's like constantly touring, and be like, okay, can you cancel these 8 dates and be in these 3 episodes at the end of this season? It's like you have to find somebody who is a big name, but then also available enough to pull that off. And that's not the easiest thing.
Yeah, this can't be Elementary again, where they get a Moriarty that is a humongous star and then they can never get her back again.
I am still mad about the Natalie Dormer thing. Like, how many years later is it? It's sort of
I
like
know.
Natalie Dormer had time to voice a character in Mass Effect Andromeda, a video game that me and only 8 other people actually liked, and still Elementary couldn't find a way to bring her back. I do not understand that, and I will never understand that.
Going forward, I'm really curious what we're going to see for Charlie now, because we did have that scene at the end where she was kind of like, pulling at the map and we'll go here sort
Yeah.
of thing. But I feel like now that no one's chasing her, is there a possibility that she might actually just try to settle down somewhere? Because there's been a couple times along the way, even in this first episode with Dee Dee, who was like, oh, now maybe you could come in on this apple orchard with me. And for a second, I was like, yeah, that would be great, until Beatrix's guy showed up, right? So there's been a couple times that we've seen her, even with the whole like magic mountain. Oh, I love Magic Mountain. I could stay here forever kind of thing. But she ends up having to move along as well last season. That she may find a place along the way that she wants to stay in. And maybe we'll sort of see a sleepy murder town where a whole bunch of different things are happening there. And she just needs to be there.
I wouldn't be mad about that at all at this point, just because, like, I understand that her being a drifter is a part of the charm at this point, but like with everything else on Poker Face, they got to kind of continue to evolve things. And the idea of her, at the very least, trying to settle down and feeling
Few
like,
episodes.
yeah, just giving us something like this would be really interesting, because it would allow us to get to know her as a character better. Because, like, yeah, Natasha's great as the character and she's really fun to watch, but we also just take a back seat here. What do we really know about Charlie other than that she's constantly on the run and she has a gift for calling people out on their BS? It's actually not that much.
It's not that much, truly. I mean, even the one romance we saw with her was just like a montage of muscly kisses, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Until she was like, oh man, I'm stuck in this like murder mountain and it's all snowy and the romance is gone.
Yeah, I want to see, like, what does her dating look like? Like, what is her trying to find, an actual home look like? It just feels like there's always these sort of questions. Like, it brings me back to the barbecue episode with the dog, where it was like one opportunity to see something a little bit different. It's like, okay, we saw what her and the dog looked like, and granted, that was not a typical dog by any means.
That
but-
was exactly like my dog. Like, oh my goodness, Coco Chanel is exactly like that. Coco Chanel Vanderwolf will get into the car, scream her face off till the end of time unless you put on rap music. She loves the Beastie Boys and she loves Jay-Z. So if I'm ever riding around with her, that is all that is playing in the car, which is not bad anyways, because I like both. But that is all that is playing in the car, or she will just scream and scream and scream herself into exhaustion, and I have no idea why.
It is. I don't know. I don't even know if Charlie could solve that mystery, honestly, at this point. But it is.
I just have all the Beastie Boys catalog ready to go.
It's just one of those sort of things where the more we can play around with that character, the better the rest of this season is going to be. And I think just because of the people involved in Poker Face, like I have a lot of faith in the future, even though at the same time I'm sitting here right now and being like, how did you guys do a finale in episode 3? Like what is going on here?
Yeah, no, this was a really exciting episode for me because I didn't just want a repeat of what happened the first season where it's just Charlie's being chased down, so she has to go to different places. I totally understood it with the first season. It was the thing that made her go to other places. But when they ended that season with now she's on the run from this next person, I was like, is this just going to be the thing every season?
Yeah, and maybe there'll be an element of that, but maybe there's going to be a lot of different things that are thrown at us. But yeah, I really like this episode. I mean, the more time that I've spent since watching it, the more that I end up liking it. So I think this is probably going to be a top 3 episode of the series for me. Maybe when it's all said and done. Like right now, it might be top 5, but last night I was like, oh, it's kind of on the fringe of top 5, and today now I'm like, oh, it's totally top 5. So it's just like constantly evolving in my head.
I just loved the second episode so much. It is easily one of my top episodes for me, but that's because I'm involved in funeral service. So to sort of see a really fun murder mystery episode about that, and Giancarlo, Katie Holmes, it was so good.
I think a lot of this enjoyment of the show is about like, do you relate to the setting, the people in the case, or the guest stars, where it's like, this episode's elevated to me because I really like a lot of the people. Like, I know Kumail's going to show up at some point this season, and I love him. And so it's like that episode.
And Melanie Linsky's showing up, and we love Yellow Jackets.
Yes, and she's there with television's Jason Ritter, who is finding another way. How many shows?
Also her husband.
Yeah, also supposedly going to be on Yellow Jackets in a mysterious episode that was shot years ago and may never air. But okay, that is where we are coming out of Poker Face Season 2, Episode 3. So what did you guys think about this episode, the guest stars? What do you think the show is going to look like now? Let us know. Hit that subscribe button, support us further, join our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering there exclusively Criminal Minds Evolution, premiering today on Paramount Plus, but then also Murderbot, which is coming up on Apple TV Plus. Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next time.